All right, guys, we're locked and loaded here out of Virginia. Just take the first thumbs up in the group here. I really appreciate the commentary before the live stream. Honestly, a ton going on right now in the stock market. Great. Using my old equipment, and we're going to continue to do so. Might as well just have the independent investor channel coming out of a garage, honestly, with the equipment that we're putting through. But Apple never lets me down. So that's what we've had for the last 6 years. It's doing good. Kind of talking a little bit about some ad revenue rates going down potentially on YouTube. Let her rip. I could care less, honestly. My goals of the channel have not changed whatsoever. Brent, welcome to the group. Nice to see you kicking in here. I know Lydia's in the group, another couple channel creators, obviously. If I see them pop in here, I will give the proper shout out, certainly. There was shots fired this week, obviously, on the YouTube community. Kind of hate to see that, to be honest with you. I was a little bit disappointed. I really was. I'm not shy with my opinion about other creators as well. But I think that was an interesting offering, and then an interesting response that we got. But we'll talk more about that later on in the live stream. But certainly want to welcome anybody that's kicking into the Independent Investor Channel live stream for the first time. On behalf of the channel, I want to welcome you guys. I try to provide a little bit of a niche. This would be something that me personally would require of a channel creator to provide some visibility to somebody if they take the time to actually hit the subscribe button. I've got my good friend Jared Odell in the group here. He says, hello from Texas, man. That's really cool. I've been trying to get back to Texas, actually. So pretty cool to see you guys here tonight. I want to thank you first and foremost for taking some time out of your evening. I know this is a Friday evening, and a lot of people probably have other things that they could be doing. You guys will see kind of a script here. So you're seeing a little bit of an insight and an announcement on the channel. I will be continuing to do the live streams. I love doing it, and those will continue on schedule Friday evenings, Eastern Standard Time at 9 o'clock. For those folks that are legitimately tuning in from across the world, thank you. Just a special shout out to you guys. I've got Andrew tuning in here from Australia. Honestly, that's legit, man. That's really the root of what kind of keeps me going. Honestly, the back and forth dialogue, honestly, kind of wants me, that piece of it right there, I don't want to have anything to do with, honestly. And if it were solely that on YouTube, which there's a lot of that, I would honestly feel like throwing in the towel, because I've said this many times. I could walk away from the channel with no problem at all. But, it's you guys really that keep me coming back, because I do get a genuine sense that there's a ton of people out there that really want to understand a little bit more about the stock market, or a lot more. And there's a lot of people out there, I would contend, that need this type of explanation. They really do. And I don't have all the answers, okay? I don't. That's one of the roots that kind of came through this week is reading a little bit too far into somebody's opinion about the stock market. And really good comment came up before in the group here on my kind of the pre-party to the live stream was pretty cool, talking a little bit about that. And even though I do believe that you should be very careful when you hear out stock picks on YouTube and through YouTube, you really just need to understand that talking about products that can go into an investment account is just the tip of the iceberg, man. You're missing so much more of the foundational building piece, the aspects about budgeting and savings, the aspect about just talking about cash, talking about maybe introducing a fixed pillar in your portfolio, because the older you get, the more appropriate that it gets. And I always just kind of follow an age rule. If you're 20 years old, you could justify not having any fixed equities. But as you kind of move up the chain a little bit, you want to try to increase your exposure to, by the time you get to be 50 years old, you're looking at about a 50 split of fixed equities to your commodities exposure. It's just kind of a general rule of thumb. Right now, I've got 12.58% in my portfolio. That's totally fine for me as an aggressive investor. But I think just back to my point about, how that unfortunate conversation, I guess the little bit of a mini war on YouTube got introduced. I'm sick a little bit. I enjoyed watching the video. I thought he did a pretty good job. I'm talking about Michael J. If you guys didn't kick over and watch it, I thought he did a pretty good job, actually. I thought his points were actually well taken. I was just a little more disappointed, I think, in how it was interpreted through the community, honestly, because I'm not exempt from scrutiny. If you have a problem with something that I say, I want to hear about it. I want to hear about it directly. And I like to think that I take scrutiny a little bit. I take it fine. Okay. I've got pretty tough skin. I don't jump on the defensive. If you think that something that I'm doing is wrong, if you think that I need to be timing the market, certainly leave those comments. I may disagree with you respectfully. But it goes back to the old ownage that business is business. Okay. It's not emotion. All right. And I've contended many, many, many times that stock market investing is the epiphany of that approach. It really is. You cannot initiate emotion when it comes to the stock market. And Doug Whitaker will tell you the same thing. He just popped up and said, "Hey, evening, Ryan." It's just kind of a takeaway a little bit, if you want to consume, I've stopped consuming a lot of content. I will just let you guys know, one of my favorite channels, Ryan Scribner's put out a couple pieces that have been pretty good. I recommend those. He did the interview with, I think it's Dan Locke, I believe is his first name. His last name's Locke. I didn't know this person and actually watched the interview. I thought it was pretty good. I recommend that. And Nate O'Brien is the other content creator that I do occasionally kick on there and watch. And I will be providing him a courtesy copy of what I felt was a motivational video for me in pulling a book that I've been working on for the last, it's been done for 10 years. And I've now pulled that out of the archive, and I will be finishing my book. Now, once I get done with this project, I would like to start on a second one and actually offer a book on my fundamental premises on investing. And I think a lot of people will appreciate that. Now, the project that I'm working on is night and day from this project. And I will be scaling back a little bit on the YouTube project a little bit for daily upload type of thing. I'm still going to make myself available through DMs. Send me an email. Don't expect me to get back to you right away. You guys need to understand, I get a lot of DMs now because I do make myself that available. I don't mind doing it, but at certain times it does get a little bit overwhelming. So I will say that, but I need to be afforded this time to work on this project. And so I'll be scaling back a little bit on the YouTube weekly upload, still be doing the live stream. So be looking forward to that to just kind of keep the fire stoked on the channel itself. But I will be looking to get my book up to a reputable publisher once I get done. I'm about 25% complete with it. That'll be my project. So you guys will all get a courtesy copy. You guys are all part of the family here, growing as the subscriber base. And I've got some really great things. Just was approached again yesterday about a speaking engagement, and that's all I'll really say about that. It'll be a speaking engagement to around 150 people who are looking for an alternative strategy to investing in a 401k. So they want me to come and talk to that group, and I'm all about it. I really hope they accept what it is they're getting. They're deliberating right now. I will let you guys know, but if I'm ended up making that opportunity a reality, that's going to be real big for me, and I can't wait to make that happen. If that in fact is in store for me, we'll be filming the whole thing. And I'll be making that available to you guys as well after the completion of that particular seminar. And so I'll be working hard on that. So a few projects, I'm kind of taking a little bit of a, YouTube kind of gets a little bit consuming, at least for me. I mean, I am a human being as well. It's another great reason why I'll come on here to YouTube for a live stream and throw down for 2 hours. Because I really, really want you guys to understand that you're part of something special. I believe it for you. My portfolio is solid. You know, I could get up here and do, you know, charge you a bunch of money to join a group to check out. He says, will it be autographed? Of course it will. I've got a few people that I do owe a copy to, and I'll be putting some words. I get emotional when I write the thing. You guys have no idea. I mean, for you guys that are new to the channel and don't know, I don't do YouTube for a living, number one. Second of which, I was a commercial fisherman for quite some many years. And I was a commercial fisherman actually part of the time down in Lydia's neck of the woods there in the port of LA, which is San Pedro. And my boat, from what I understand, is still down there. But I did that all up and down the West Coast, man. So that's where I learned a lot about work ethic. And I did that with my two brothers. So it was me and my two brothers. It was 3 of us total. Work in Alaska, up and down from the Bering Sea down to, I've been all the way down to Ensenada, actually. So good, cool stuff. Just a cool story. And it'll be a story of mine, again, with my approach to not really caring about the monetary piece to it. I would love it more just to get a project like that completed. So I would ask for some understanding through the group. So this is an announcement that I really wanted to make through this live stream. And I just care about every one of you guys. I want to make sure if you find your way to the Independent Investor channel that you're not making your way into the channel and getting turned off, because I can make finances somewhat enjoyable, but I'm not going to put on a song and dance for you. I won't do that. I can't do that. I'm not capable of doing it. And I think financial security and wealth in and of itself is exciting enough. So if you guys are looking for a path, I can define that path for you. And I can do it more often than not talking about stock picks and always focusing on, you know, my stock's better than yours, you know, my way's better than yours and your ways suck. And I left a pretty long comment on that video and nobody checked anything. Nobody read what I had to say, which gives me an inclination about, you know, what YouTube really is about as far as what people expect when they come on and they consume content. I think the majority of the audience really does want to be entertained. And I think we've done a great job in building up a community of folks that, you know, that have been referred to the channel. And that referral is really where a lot of the value is on the Independent Investor channel. I'm going to cruise up, man. There's a hell of a group in here tonight. And rightfully so. I do have just an absolute ton of topics to talk about tonight. I could probably go for 4 hours. Now, I'm not going to do that. Okay. I could, and if you doubt my skill, we could test it one of these nights, but it'll probably go for another hour and a half, 45-minute live stream, because I want to get to every single one of these, we're trying to make money, not be entertained. Right on, man. That comment's legit. I just saw it pop in the very bottom. I've got Kashif in here. You know what, man? That's really what keeps me going, is I do believe that there's a lot of people out there that don't really want to waste their freaking time. They want to be taught by somebody like me who's been through a little bit of a hard road, you know, gone through some hard knocks and worked through some things and done so by making mistakes and understanding that I don't want to do it again. So if you can kind of take some of those lessons, man, and run with it, you know, some of the themes that I repeat over and over again, you know, the designation of the account, etc., you know, how to build out a portfolio, you know, how to really take a defensive approach to the stock market. That's legit stuff, guys. And I believe anybody can learn it. I really do. I think, you know, just passion for the stock market is a good start. But then you got to take that passion and you got to kind of control it a little bit and sit back and say, okay, my passion would take me to say, just buy all Amazon. Okay. But my strategic discipline may tell me to say, hey, listen, Ryan mentioned maybe something over here a little bit in way of a cash pillar. Maybe Ryan mentioned, you know, starting a passive and building up a base, giving myself a fighter's chance here in this gig. because if you've been paying attention to the stock market over the last 3 months, it's done everything that I said it would do 2 years ago when I started the channel. It will humble you, right? It's a war zone, right? I mean, I was down 5 grand yesterday. I was up 7 grand today. I mean, that's just the way it is, babe. It's been real aggressive. Almost back to even since I put out my 20,000 down video, you know, and it's amazing how popular those videos are. You know, people want to, you know, they're really interested in, I've got, can you review asset allocation in your portfolio, John? I do that every time I do a portfolio review. And I'm due for that. Les, thank you so much, man. So much, man. It's funny how my memory works, man. And when I do get this project done, we're going to be putting out, some real interesting thank yous to you folks, man. And I think you're really going to enjoy the read. I'm a very introverted person. And I have very, very vivid memories of some of the things that I went through up there in Alaska. Some of them very good. Some of them I wouldn't wish upon my worst enemy, honestly. And I've just since forgot a lot of that stuff. But you guys that I've got to know through the community really kind of fuels my fire. And I really appreciate that, because there are times on this channel, honestly, where I need to remind myself of why I started the channel in the first place. And it's because of kind people like you that really make it happen for me. I really appreciate it. I really do. You know, we will be scaling back on the weekly deal. I think the ad revenue is going to go down again. Who cares? I don't care. It doesn't bother me a bit. If I thought I could say the perfect thing to get somebody to come in here and get excited about investing, I would say it. And that's why, you know, we talk about the same topic every single week in and week out. And it's amazing how many different topics, you know, this conversation deserves a consideration that you continue to evolve the conversation as you end up starting to increase your exposure to the market. It's just amazing how many different aspects of this conversation where we can go. And I guess the disappointing part for me is I just feel like on the YouTube landscape, a lot of the times that they want to talk about just, you know, the stocks most of the time. And I contend that that's the wrong area of focus, singularly. Okay, there's so much more to talk about, but thank you, Les. I really appreciate that. Very cool. I hope you and Rose are doing well, and Happy New Year to everybody in the group this evening. Before we kind of kick off a little bit, I do want to thank a couple guys here in the Facebook group. If you guys are joining, that's one of those kind of diamonds in the rough of the Independent Investor channel, is that you get to go on there and you get to converse with top-notch individuals. Ernest, Jared's in the group here as well, and I don't want to put him on the spot either. He's probably sitting back chilling out this evening. He works really hard to get some really awesome responses back to the group. But the comment of the week, actually, the post of the week in the Facebook group was actually from Lee, and I want to protect his anonymity for anybody that is in the group here. This will be posted live to YouTube, honestly. The Facebook group is a closed group. We booted a few people out of there. They were assholes, so we booted them. But for the majority of the time, you just kick over an invite, and we'll get you in that group. But Lee posted just a fantastic piece of content just today or yesterday, I think, where it actually went back. It went back 10 years. He promised that over online, you can actually go back about 30 years. And look at each of the segments of the stock market: large cap growth, large cap value, real estate REITs, bonds, small caps. And he actually went from year to year on an Excel spreadsheet and showed whether or not those segments, or pillars as I refer to them, right? So I'm not far off, did from year after year after year. And then he gave a cumulative rate of return at the end. Over 10 years is the example he threw in the Facebook group, but I thought it was extremely interesting to look at that stuff, and provided some validation as to why we teach the way we teach, and why we teach that there's not one way to invest in the stock market that's right or wrong. What I mean by that is You don't just become a dividend investor and that's all you do. Now, if that's what you choose to do, that's fine, but you need to understand that there's other options out there as well. Fixed, cash options as well, growth strategies as well. And I think there's some bargains right now, even with this volatility in the stock market. I do want to get to the group here, but before I do, man, I just want to thank those folks and kind of, Ernest definitely, but Lee gets the award for the best post of the week this week. And I just want to thank Lee. Just made him, he's the newest admin in the group, and he's wicked smart. Smarter than I am. I mean, some of these guys in the group, man, just legit. You're getting your money's worth, man. You're getting your money's worth joining a free Facebook group. So that's my plug. I'm going to rip over here to the group here. Brent just kicked in. I don't know if I gave him the shout out, and I've got Bill Schultz in the group here as well. Also a channel creator who just really kind of started on YouTube, and I'm getting to know through the comments section. And I just want to thank his work that he's putting on YouTube. Very genuine guy, and just want to give a shout out to Bill as well, who I saw pop in here. I'm going to cruise up here and see if I can't get to some of these. Let me cruise on up here and see what we get. There's a hell of a group in here tonight. 94. We got to 99 people last week. I didn't hit my 100 goal. That's fine. There's about 1,000 people re-reviewing these live streams at the end. But enough of my ranting. That's 20 minutes of my rant and introduction and announcements of the channel. Let's get down into the nitty gritty here, man. I've got Kevin Shotwell, just subscribe to your channel, Lydia. So Lydia's another, that's why I call out these content creators. So if you guys do kick in here, I just ask that you support. Honestly, Scribner's the one large channel, and he's the only large channel that I support. The next one is Nate O'Brien, who's just phenomenal. I just love that guy, man. He's just straightforward, doesn't get involved in any of the drama. It seems to me like he's probably not got a whole lot of time to it because he's busy making himself successful. But Nate's another one. He's got about 50,000 subscribers, and the Monk as well. But for the smaller channels that kick in here, certainly can kick over and help those folks. I'm at 99 right now, man. You telling me that I can't get one more in here? That's what it did to me last week. That's kind of funny. Let me scroll through here and see if I can't get any investing questions. Larry Massa, as of December 19th, I'm down 8%. I think I was about down a little bit too. The thing that's misleading about a year-over-year rate of return is that, and I always say, looking at the stock market at any one given time, and it doesn't get any more specific than that, to kind of track your progress over the course of a 365-day process. That's not to say that it's not going to turn around in January and give you a better rate of return. I don't really think it means a whole hell of a lot, to be honest with you. I will give a plug for another post in the Facebook group talking about the PEG ratio. And I got asked last week what one of the most important things that I look at. It's not enough to look at the PE ratio. I see this all the time on YouTube where people are talking about a stock either undervalue or blah blah blah, and typically it's very, very off base. I don't even know where the justification comes for it, and I know that I do purchase certain stocks that one person by one metric or another may say, hey Ryan, this might be a little bit overvalued, and that's fine. Sometimes you got to take a little bit of a risk in the stock market, a strategic risk. Okay. I'll have you guys know I put the 12 grand into the 2 Roth IRAs, and I've invested about 4 grand of it because I've seen some of you folks, man, going through that volatility. It takes some fortitude to put hard-earned dollars on a losing position, and it's hard to do. But I did put some money to work, 4,000 yesterday when it was down 600, and then watched the ride today. Paid off quite well. I dropped the names of my stock buys in the Facebook group, but I'll offer them to you guys now. Kraft Heinz up to that 40 share position. So the ticker symbol KHC, Kraft Heinz, Pfizer, PFE as well, up to that 50 shares. And then the other buy that I made was 10 shares of United Technologies, which is just stupid, ridiculously low right now for such a good quality company. But those are the only 3 buys I've made thus far. So I'm sitting on some dry powder right now. I'm going to continue to monitor it. So you guys see, with a portfolio as big as mine, I'm still taking a careful and defensive posture. Okay. You'll never hear me get on here and say, I bought Apple today. You know, okay. If you want to buy some Apple, that's fine. I mean, I bought it a year and a half ago at 90. I sold some at 220. It went down to 150. I bought 30 more shares of it, and I watched it get shellacked yesterday, and I was very tempted to buy it yesterday as well, and didn't. I held it. That's fine. But you'll never hear me come on here and just, emotionally tell you guys that I bought some stock. I just gave it to you, the 100 shares that I purchased yesterday at the downturn. You guys will be interested to know, actually, as well, I was offered kind of an unfortunate scenario as well through M1. And I don't mean to bag on M1. I know a lot of you guys are happy with it, and I continue to endorse it. You guys know my position on it, but unfortunately, they had the settling today at 12 o'clock, which was right about the time that the market was up 600. Now, it did end up about 700. I think it closed up 745 or something like that today. But unfortunately, the M1 buys came at a pretty high time during the day. And, the user kind of hit me up and said, man, it sure would have been nice to strategically buy the market yesterday. Or I think the buy order went in yesterday, and then it ended up buying today when the market was up 600 bits. And you guys know that I strategically buy the stock market. I don't buy on a day like today. I just think that's silly. I would be more apt to buy, and I did yesterday, a $4,000 block of stock yesterday when the market was down 600 points. That's just easy money to me. It just makes sense to me. Certainly somebody could come in and argue with me that I need to time the market more, but I've done a video on timing the market as well, and you guys noticed that the market timers were completely caught with their pants down on this one, because the market shot up 330, closed down 660, and then shot up 300. So there would have been nothing that you could have done, even if you sold at the very, very low, to make up for that gap between the close of the market yesterday. And if you wanted to trade in the pre-market, you could have, but and then you're stuck in a situation. Do you jump in, missing out on that 300 points, thinking that it's going to go up to 745? I think not. What you're thinking is it's going to start at 300 and have one of those intraday reversals, so you got to be kind of careful. And again, I don't mean to come on here and say I told you so, but I'm not the first one to talk about long-term investing strategies and avoiding timing the stock market like the plague. And I know there's a ton of people out there that heard what I just said, and they appreciate the heck out of it. And I'm glad to keep on beating that drum. I don't know what else I have to do. Turn blue in the face? I'm not really sure. But anyway, I got AVA, man. Happy Friday. Another crazy week in the markets. Yeah, it was crazy. Apple freaks out everyone. Then a few bits of good news and the bulls take off. Bipolar markets in a downtrend, not for the faint of heart. Man, I guess so. If I'm speaking to my younger crowd, in their 20s, late teens, and they're tuning into the channel, and lucky for you, no doubt. I wish I had me to talk to when I was 18. Jesus, that would be dangerous right now. But I think if I was a young investor, how can you know any different than what you're getting now? I think you need to get used to it. Honestly, I think this has been hyper crazy. I do. I think the volatility has been pretty crazy. It doesn't show up in the VIX, which is interesting to me, but I think young investors really, really need to heed my warning and approach the stock market like it's a freaking war. All right. Approach it like you're building something for your future. All right. You're not going to get in and get out, trying to time the market, man. Just put a nice block of shares in there passively to start and monitor your portfolio. There's nothing wrong with doing that, man. It's just amazing. It seems very simple to me. And I don't know how much more simple I can put it to beginning investors. I know there was a video that came out, I think today, during the day today, that was bashing on Jim Cramer. I thought that was interesting, very ill-advised. I think Jim Cramer's amazing. I just don't get the opinion. I don't agree with that opinion at all. Jim Cramer owns Facebook. He owns Apple. He recommends getting invested. He's one of the only ones on television that has actually used the term self-directed investor. And when I heard him say it, I was like, oh my God, that's me. Finally, somebody said it. It's the first time I've ever seen it on mass media used in that terms. And he does offer it as a viable option for people. And it's legit. Put a passive index to work up to your first $10,000. I'd like to say he borrowed that from me because I did not borrow it from him. But I honestly feel like that's a very, very fair way to go about approaching the stock market for a young investor. What do you have to lose? You've got time on your hands. What are you going to do? You're going to try to stock pick and just time the market? You're going to be disappointed. You're going to waste a few years. And then you're going to come crawling back to the tried and true passive strategy only to start over. Honestly, it's really tough, whereas if you took that passive approach, you could take the passive. And if you were a little bit more aggressive, you could add some single stock to the portfolio there and really set yourself up for future growth by entering into some of those stocks that, geez Louise, the video talked about being down on all those stocks. I don't get how discrediting the fact that 70